I've been thinking a lot about time lately, not just how quickly it seems to be passing, but how my perspective on it has been shifting. Things I cared about deeply in my early 20s suddenly just don't seem as important, and values I barely considered before are now becoming central to how I make decisions. There's this quote that keeps coming back to me: youth is wasted on the young. I used to find it a bit condescending, to be honest, but lately I've been wondering if there's more truth to it than I wanted to admit. Not because young people don't appreciate youth, but because perspective is something that you can only gain through experience. I've also noticed how the same sort of lessons and regrets have been mentioned over time, yet they keep happening. It seems that we all think we may be the exception, but we very rarely are. And I think that's what the phrase really means. We just don't seem to learn it until we get to a stage later in life where perhaps it's too late. In this video, I look deeper into what lessons the wise want the youth to know, including what some of the great philosophers had to say. If you're new here, I'm Amy Claire, and on this channel I try to understand human nature, philosophy and life stories to help me make sense of life and how we all get to where we are. It struck me how common the theme of time and regret is when you talk to older people. So many of them mention regretting the time they spent worrying about others' opinions, or working too much, or not telling people they loved them when they had the chance. The philosopher Seneca wrote about this almost 2,000 years ago in his essay on the shortness of life. He argued, it's not that we have a short time to live, but we waste a lot of it. He talked about how people postpone their happiness, always thinking they'll finally start living once they achieve the next goal or reach that next milestone. Social psychologist Laura Carstensen developed something called socioemotional selective theory, which suggests that our priorities shift as our perception of time changes. When we're young and time feels unlimited, we prioritise knowledge acquisition, career advancement, and novel experiences. But as we grow older and become more aware of life's finite nature, we shift towards emotional satisfaction, meaningful relationships, and present-focused goals. There's a study where researchers asked people in their 80s and 90s what they regretted most. The responses rarely included career disappointments or material failures. Instead, they talked about relationships they let slip away, risks that they were too afraid to take, and the authentic paths that they didn't follow because they were too concerned with security or status. I'm 29, so I still feel the relevance of career ambition, travel, and personal development. But as I learn more from the wise, I'm trying to be aware of what I may regret in the future, which is in turn shifting my priorities. This doesn't mean I'm changing everything, it's just making me ponder more where my attention and energy should go. The philosopher Kierkegaard talks about living authentically, about making your own choices that align with your deepest values rather than external expectations. But figuring out what those values actually are, that can be the hard part, especially when they keep evolving as we age. A 93-year-old man said that his regret was working so hard that he barely knew his children when they were young. A woman who survived a concentration camp said that she learned that human connection is the only thing that truly mattered in the end. A retired professor said that he wished he had taken more chances, being less cautious. There's a pattern in these stories, a consistency that's hard to ignore. Almost nobody wishes they'd spent more time at the office or bought more stuff or had more followers on social media. The regrets centre around courage, connection and authenticity. I wonder how my own priorities will continue to shift as I get older. Will I look back at my current worries and laugh at how seriously I took things that ultimately didn't matter? Probably. But I also think there's value in listening to those that have walked the path before us and in trying to learn from their experiences without having to make the same mistakes over and over again. The philosopher Bertrand Russell wrote an essay called How to Grow Old when he was in his 80s. He said the key to aging well was to focus your interests outward, to care genuinely about other people and ideas beyond yourself. He believed that staying curious and engaged within the world was a secret to a fulfilling life at any age. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one.